We will find you. I have that as a sole mission for the rest of my life.
Mrs.
Episode 163, Jonbenet Case, the top moments. This video is my top aha moments of the case. And I couldn't come up with 10, so it's not a top 10 list. And I'm not going to bother to put them in any particular order. So a drum roll, please, for the first one. The duct tape did not have any lip movements or tug marks, meaning that Jonbenet was unconscious or dead at the time that the tape was placed over her mouth. Ah, why would an intruder do that? It seems like more like a cover-up. Somebody would do that to cover up and make it look like some kind of abduction gone wrong. This wasn't just a long ago skill learned and crafted by John in his college and Navy days, never utilized again. Ramsey had owned at least 3 different boats in his lifetime: the Miss America, the Grand Seasons, and the 10 o'clock. There are numerous photos of John and his family enjoying themselves on their various vessels. In the summer of the year Jonbenet died, John Ramsey was a competent sailor with his own ship at the time of Jonbenet's death. So when I saw the knot on the garrote, aha, I thought, John Ramsey tied that knot. After Patsy found the ransom note, John Ramsey spent no time at all looking for Jonbenet. When the police arrived, they looked for Jonbenet. When Fleet White arrived, he looked for Jonbenet. And according to John Ramsey's testimony, he went down there sometime that morning to the basement. They estimate around sometime after 10 a.m. But think about how odd that is, that he didn't find Jonbenet's body then, when he was alone down in the basement. Then, after 3 hours of sitting and waiting and wondering, then John Ramsey went down to the basement and soon discovered her body. Ah, he knew where her body was. And he was getting worried what was going to happen if they didn't find her body. During John Ramsey's testimony in the Christopher Wolfe case, brought years later after Jonbenet's death, John Ramsey stated that the ransom note started with Mr. and Mrs. Ramsey. Aha! It did not start off with that. The practice note started off with that. How can he make that mistake? This was the biggest aha moment of them all for me. While reading John Ramsey's police testimony, I came across this. Mike Kane. All right. Do you ever remember her being angry with anybody outside of the family? John Ramsey. Not really. Patsy is not that kind of person. She frankly brought home a lot of stray dogs. She didn't meet a stranger she didn't like. I had only read an hour or 2 of testimony, and I already had John Ramsey saying, stray dog, just like in the ransom note. That stuck out to me. The police and the detectives state that the grating on the window well outside the basement window was not moved. The grating was not moved. There was no evidence of an intruder going through that window. Aha. So who would put a suitcase under that window and put a scuff mark on the wall?
That was distressing to us, and it perhaps caused some bias of opinion, is why did we bring lawyers into this process early on? And I can tell you both how that happened and why it happened. The how is that on the day after the tragedy, we were being consoled by friends and family, and a close friend of mine, who was also a practicing attorney, took me aside and said, "John, I see some things developing here that I would like to ask your permission to do some things that I think are necessary to be done." And I said, "Fine, do it." And so he retained counsel for Patsy and I.
John Ramsey friend and attorney Mike Bynum arrived at the Fernie's house on day one, a matter of hours after the body had been discovered. John stated that Bynum had brought food from Pasta J's restaurant. The thing is, he said that he talked to the attorney the next day. So does John mean that Jonbenet was murdered on Christmas night? John Ramsey testified that he went to bed at 10:30 and maybe he fell asleep at 11 p.m. So within that 1 hour, he knows Jonbenet was killed? Because John Ramsey keeps deceiving people by saying this attorney, he got the attorney, if you look at other interviews later, a couple days later, and in this instance, he tries to make it sound like it was the following day after the discovery of her body, which is not true. Well, this ends this episode of Unsolved, and the next episode, tomorrow night, we'll be back to the Zodiac Killer Case. See you the next time.